Welcome to the 6th episode of Caterpillar Nation. I'm Jill Kimball, licensed clinical social worker and private practice therapist. Caterpillar Nation is a growing community of people like you who are curious about the human experience. Follow me as we create a safe place to learn about mental health, mental illness, and mental wellness. We will explore the psychology of who we are and how we develop into our best mental health. Just like caterpillars who transform before becoming butterflies, we are also on a journey towards finding our best self. Stay tuned. On today's podcast, I'll be talking about our personal dashboard. This is a concept I developed to help myself and my clients learn to check in with themselves when we're feeling stressed or a little off, to determine where that stress is coming from so that we can look for options to bring ourselves back to a good place. I'll be sharing the personal dashboard with you as a way for you to measure where you're at and then identify some paths to enhance your emotional well-being. So what is this personal dashboard? Just like a car has a dashboard with different gauges to tell you how the car is functioning and to let you know what you might need to do more of or less of for it to run optimally, I'd like you to imagine that you have a personal dashboard that has different gauges to monitor and measure different functions in your body, your environment, and the functions that impact your emotional well-being. You can figure out what these things are for yourself, which gauges impact you the most, but in general, I use the following list, and it has been pretty helpful. The gauges I include begin with sleep, nutrition and hydration, physical health, unresolved stress or recent triggers, physical activity, medication compliance, substance use, my mindfulness level, which might include my breathing, meditation, journaling, then social quality, screen time, and access to nature and fun. So with these different gauges, I like to use something called scaling. And with scaling, we make a 0 to 10 scale. And 10 is our ideal reading. So for example, with sleep, I would examine on the 0 to 10 scale, what has the quality of my sleep been? For me, I know I need about 8 hours of sleep. So for a 10, I would be looking at, did I get 8 hours of sleep? I might also check in with, have I been staying up too late or restless in my sleep? And then I would come up with that 0 to 10 score. For nutrition and hydration, same thing. A 10 means I've been eating a well-balanced meal with lots of fresh foods in it, that I'm avoiding fast food, heavy carbs, and so then I would be looking for a 10 as my ideal. Hydration, same thing. Have I been drinking enough water? 0 to 10, what score would I give myself? For physical health, I would want to check in, what has my health been like? Have I recently had a cold? Are my allergies acting up? I think it's always, this annual physical is really important to keep track of what health issues we're dealing with and do we need any medical attention. So again, there's a 0 to 10 scale. If my allergies are acting up, maybe I would say I'm at an 8 or a 9 instead of a 10. The next one would be unresolved stress or triggers. So this could be something like an unexpected bill or some particularly high stress at work or in a relationship. And so 0 to 10, 10 is I have low stress and I'm handling everything like a champ. But I might be down to a 4 or a 5 if I'm feeling some burnout from work, or I have a particularly difficult, stressful interpersonal issue that I'm dealing with. So again, give myself a score there. Physical activity is probably one of my challenging areas, and this gauge measures, have I been going for daily walks? Have I been doing my yoga classes? Have I been stretching? Have I just really been active? And if I haven't, my score might be a 5 or a 6. And if I've been having a rough day, I can look at that, and if I'm feeling low, that's one of my scores that I can give some attention to. Medication compliance, 0 to 10. Have I been taking my vitamins and supplements and medications as directed by my doctor? And maybe I'll get a 10 on that because I always take them. The next gauge is alcohol or drug use. So, and I'm not necessarily talking about having an alcohol binge or smoking cannabis every day. It could just be, this week, did I have a glass of wine after work more days than not? Or did I have a friend over and we had a few beers? And so my 10 score is that I haven't used any substances. And I'm not saying that having a couple beers isn't a bad thing. I'm just saying that it is something that could have a negative influence on my physical or mental health. A really important gauge for me is to measure my mindfulness level. What has my life pace been like? Have I felt in a hurry? Have I been making little mistakes? I'll want to be measuring, have I been using my deep breathing? I rely on daily meditation to help quiet my mind and give me that space to be able to think before I react to new information or situations. For other people, it could be journaling. It could be your other spiritual practices. On the 0 to 10 scale, how would you rate your mindfulness level? And if you're feeling low, you might say, wow, I haven't meditated the last couple days. I need to get back on that. The next gauge is social quality. So, have you been hanging out with people that lift you up or provide you positive mental stimulation with some great discussions or humor or connection? Or has your social quality been low in the sense that your roommate has been grouchy, or you just haven't gotten out to spend some time with other people, learning things, talking about things, having compassionate moments with other people? 0 to 10, how am I doing in that area? My next gauge, and this is for me personally, is screen time. I like playing on my phone too much. I like watching news too much. And so if I'm feeling low, sometimes I can measure, has my screen time been excessive? And that would lower my score. If I get a 10 on that, that means I've probably been watching a half hour or less of TV a day, and maybe spending less than an hour a day on my phone for other activities. 0 to 10, what score do you get when it comes to screen time? And the last one I call access to nature and fun. So, have I gone out for hikes? Have I been down to the lake? Have I played some sports or played some games? Have I been working on a passion project that just brings me a lot of joy? So 0 to 10, what has been my access to nature and fun? I still reflect back to my daughter reminding me of the expression, touch nature every day. And sometimes when I have had a bad day at work, I'll come home, I'll hang out with a tree and just put my hands on the tree and say, I see you, I'm connecting with you. And it does change my vibe. So those are some of the gauges that I've come up with. You personally could come up with your own list of gauges that you know affect your mental health. So how do we use our personal dashboard? I would really like to turn this into an app where we gave ourselves a score and we could come up with a wellness score, and then maybe it would make recommendations for us based on how we completed our gauges. But for me, if I'm feeling stressed, anxious, or grumpy, or I've been feeling irritable, or even sometimes if I wake up and I'm not in a pleasant mood, I'll want to examine my dashboard to determine how have I been doing at taking care of myself. Are there some elements that I have neglected or pushed too far? So how that might look is I wake up, I don't know why, but I'm feeling a little out of it, just a little grumpy and irritable. So I might just start with, how did I sleep last night? And maybe I did go to bed a little bit later than usual. So I'm going to be mindful that tonight I want to get my sleep back on track. I might look at, have I had my coffee and breakfast yet? And maybe I haven't, or maybe I didn't eat a good dinner. I can look at, what has my stress level been, or have there been some big bills? Another one, I just don't like going to the dentist, and so anticipating a dentist appointment will, give me a little bit lower score on how I'm handling my stress. So again, are there some elements of my dashboard that I haven't been taken care of or I've pushed too far? So maybe I'll notice I haven't been going for my daily walks. And I can say, if I spent a half hour right now going out walking, especially in nature, that could boost my mood. However, sometimes we'll look at our personal dashboard and things will be looking pretty good. We'll say, I'm not sure why I'm feeling stressed or why I'm feeling out of it. So if we check our gauges and there aren't any clear issues, I then use the gauges to look for places that I can tune up to feel better. So maybe I can do an extra meditation or tapping. I love using EFT tapping when I have that cranky mood and I don't know where it's coming from. It seems to clear out some of that negative energy and get me back online. This would also be a great place to pull out my Sparks of Joy sheet. So I might look at the sparks of joy that I've written out and say, well, I love hanging out at my sister's house and working in her garden. Or I love playing with my grandsons. I love going down to the beach. I love having a Coke. So then I might say, you know what? I need to add some of these. And sometimes it's just, there's a favorite place I like to go to get a lavender latte. And then I'll say, you know what? It's worth it. Let's go get a latte and boost my mood back up. Having that many gauges could feel overwhelming to someone. And a different way to get a quick assessment of how you've been doing could just be, how is my physical health? How is my mental health? And what kind of self-care have I been doing? So a quick assessment of my physical health would be wondering about sleep, eating, water, getting physical activity, outdoors, the things that I like. My mental health might be how much stress have I had? How much support from others have I had? Do I have any upcoming demands that could be bothering me right now? And then on my self-care gauge, I could be asking, have I been meditating? Have I been talking with supportive people? Have I been connecting with nature or journaling? And with that, I could just use those 3 basic gauges to see, yeah, I've been doing pretty good, or, oh, I have not been being as physical as I need to, or my mental demand has been really high, so it's not a surprise that I'm feeling not as good as I usually do. When we develop these skills to assess how we're doing, we have the ability to influence our own mental health. Our mental health is not out of control. There are things that we can do to enhance our mental wellness, and there are things that we do that harm our mental wellness. And so being able to figure out what's going on with me and then being able to go to a list of activities I know make me feel better is my own way of enhancing my mental health through awareness and activities or tools that I have developed. This is something you might do in therapy. With your therapist, you might explore how you're looking in these different areas of your life. And you might come up with a plan that sounds like introducing more of the healthy things into your life to help you feel more resilient, more mentally healthy. When you're struggling with high anxiety or a depressed mood, getting moving on any of these areas of our life can be pretty difficult. For some people, anxiety can give them kind of a paralyzed feeling, like they just don't know what to do or what they could do to enhance their well-being. And when someone's experiencing depression, they just don't have motivation or energy to do these things. In those situations, I like to use an idea I call do 3 things. And with do 3 things, that might be get out of bed, brush your teeth, and brush your hair. It could be make a cup of coffee, put your clothes on, and brush your teeth. So we're just looking for the smallest increments of progress and some successes that you can have that can help you start moving forward. Sometimes with anxiety, making decisions and choices can be really difficult. And so if we're just doing 3 things, it could be make coffee, make toast, sit at the kitchen table. So we don't have to think about a lot of stuff. We just want to get some movement happening. And the same with depression, that if your energy is low, if you're feeling especially negative, that having the success of completing 3 things, and again, maybe it's wash my face, brush my hair, put a clean t-shirt on. Then we can go backwards and say, okay, I just had some success. I do have some ability to influence my well-being. And ideally, we'll move into let's do 3 more things. And it doesn't have to be clean the house, do all the laundry, wash the car. Maybe it could be get my winter supplies out of the car, or empty the dishwasher. We aren't looking for mammoth chores. We're just looking to create some movement and to have a feeling of I can get things done. On today's podcast, we have talked about a few different ways to have more self-awareness of how your mental health is doing and to identify some ways to assess it, and then also to look for ways to take action. The personal dashboard for me is something I can just use anytime. But an idea like just checking on my health, my mental health, and my self-care is also a quick one and can get me back on track. If you're struggling, an idea like do 3 things is something that could just start getting you moving towards having some impact on your mental health. The whole goal of my podcast is that I want to educate people to understand what's going on in our mind, to understand this mind-body connection that affects our well-being, to be able to look back, to become more trauma-informed and understand how our early lives have affected us, but also how our daily life is affecting us. I do believe that there are paths for each of us to become more proactive in taking care of our mental health. And this is something we need to get good at because our world is a little more complicated and demanding than it had been in the past. Sure, I would love to live simply, but there are demands in my life. And with those demands comes the responsibility to find ways for me to manage it healthily and to insert the things I need to lift me up. And I hope that you're getting that kind of information from the podcast. I will have 2 more episodes in this spring season of Caterpillar Nation, and then I'll take a pause with summer season beginning Friday, June 21st. Thank you for being part of Caterpillar Nation. This is Jill Kimball. A podcast can never take the place of professional mental health services. If you are in crisis, please text 988 or call 1-800-273-TALK. Check out my website, caterpillarnation.com, and on the website are podcasts as well as some articles that I have written that are about personal development and enhancing your well-being. My new Facebook group, Caterpillar Nation 2024, has not really taken off as I imagined, but I'm going to keep it going and see if people show up. If you like what you heard, please follow, rate, and review. Share this podcast with your friends because that helps accomplish this goal of educating all of us more about our mental health and how to optimize our mental wellness. Remember, the journey to health begins with knowledge. Stay informed, stay empowered. Until next time, keep learning and growing. Take care.